In this Valor Mortis video, I want to talk about how this upcoming Soulslike is attempting to actually stand out from the crowd. This game comes from the same devs as Ghost Runner 1 and 2 as well, which is kind of surprising. The trench-ridden battlefields of Napoleonic Europe were never going to be a nice place to wake up in. Turns out they're much worse when mutated mashups of former soldiers and gruesome blistered horrors also trudge through its mud. Valor Mortis places you right in the thick of it, and trusts that your skill with a blade, pistol, and superpowered palm will ensure you make it through alive. Despite rooted in the fundamentals of the Souls-like genre, it adopts a non-conventional first-person perspective, which not only fully immerses you in this horrifying world, but also adds an additional layer of precision and satisfaction to its parrying, slashing, and sharpshooting combat. Face down in mud, Valor Mortis protagonist William hears the words of his general, Napoleon, echoing in his ears and telling him to get up. Dozens of corpses line the forest path ahead as a tattered French flag droops in presumed defeat. No other context is given as to how we've ended up here, but infamous emperor is insisting that you get up. You're initially armed with a sword and the ability to perform a block, parry, dodge in both light and heavy attacks. There's nothing initially revolutionary about, developer one more levels new project, which has slowed its Ghost Runner melee action to a much more deliberate pace here. The swordplay may not be too different, but it remains incredibly enjoyable to take part in. Blocking doesn't completely negate damage, so the timings of your parries become your best bet for quickly dispatching your opponent. There's a wonderful metallic clang that rings out when you get it just right, followed by a momentary shift into slow motion that may remind you of Dishonored's equally gratifying maneuver. There are definitely aspects of two immersive sims here, but you shouldn't go in expecting anywhere near the flexibility in its combat system as you may find in one of Arcane's or Irrational's games, because this definitely reminds me a bit of Dishonored mixed with Bioshock. This is fundamentally still a Souls-like that relies heavily on one-to-one melee encounters while delicately managing your stamina gauge. So don't go in expecting mixing elemental effects and creating chaos of your own design here. Aside from the odd opportunity to sneak up on one of your opponents and skewer them deliciously from behind, the gameplay shown off at Gamescom makes it seem like options when entering combat rarely stretch beyond toe-to-toe duels. The creatures you fight can be described as being rooted in some sort of humanity. What starts out as lowly infantry staggering around like the undead made way for more interesting enemies the deeper you look into this gameplay. Fans of the genre's traditional disgusting foes also appear to be well catered for, as there are also many more mutated monster-like enemies, though all still appear to be clinging onto their former selves. Army uniforms hang off of them, or human heads. Watch your movements closely. They are very much not of this world, or at least how early 19th century Europe is depicted in history books. A mysterious plague has affected the battlefields, creating these aberrations that can pose quite a challenge. One such brute appeared to be two soldiers conjured together, who also happened to have grown an extra arm and developed a massively oversized, meaty, clawed hand. But even this enemy was outclassed by another. The final boss of the demo gameplay shown off from Gamescom was General the Eagle Bear, a man mountain of a boss with a comically normal sized head that may make some laugh really hard at it. And this boss seems to have just, multiple forms as well. So in traditional Souls-like fashion, you don't just have one phase. No, you have a second phase with this boss. And this particular boss seems to have a deadly mix of range and close attacks that keep you on your toes, but also has the annoying ability to summon minions and capture you in his clawed clutches. But this is something, veterans of the genre shouldn't find too difficult, but newcomers to Souls-likes, well, that might be a different story. And even considering the first-person combat challenge of the game, Valor Mortis is lenient to a certain extent. Catalysts are your resource upgrade here, basically souls, and you can use them to level up your stats at what seems to be a reasonably cheap cost, such as pumping, points into getting bigger stamina bar, health, and more. All this investing into your stats appropriately will make overcoming the boss a much more manageable affair. Something else to note is upon dying, your collected catalysts are dropped at the outside perimeter of a boss arena, which is good because this reminds me of how Liza P is, where your souls in that game essentially are right outside the boss room or door. One more level doesn't want you to have to grind elsewhere in its world in order to progress. And this offers, you a saving grace in a sense of saving you a little bit of frustration. Combined with special traits that can be unlocked through exploration that utilizes a little of parkour design the studio perfected in Ghost Runner. And this all comes together to help you feel more powerful more quickly. I imagine the devs have even more abominations cooked up in the works for this game that players will find, discover, and take on. And I'm even more intrigued to how the elements and mechanics of the game, over this being a first-person Souls-like, will work in the full version, or new updates we'll get in terms of gameplay in the future, and what could change to make the game a more enjoyable, engaging experience. But this is really cool. Hope you guys enjoyed this. That's all the information I got from you for this video in regards to Valor Mortis, a new upcoming first-person Souls-like. Does this make you more excited for the game or not? Please sound off in the comments below what you think about this. Love to hear from you. If you enjoyed this video and learned something, I would appreciate a thumbs up. Subscribe if you're new. I'll see you guys in the next video.